was first diagnosed with breast cancer at age 34. A shock. Unbelievable. You know, this just can't be happening to me.
Having cancer is not necessarily a death sentence.
There's probably no more feared medical diagnosis than cancer. And for women, breast cancer is a particular concern with about 180,000 new cases each year. So how do these women cope? Can they do anything to help in their own healing? How does one find peace while living with breast cancer? Stay tuned as we listen to these stories.
First of all, I couldn't believe it, as many people do. I thought that there had been an error in the lab with my specimen.
They found mine on my first mammogram. It was just a small spot, so I was lucky that way. But the typical things I think that women go through, it's got to be somebody else's. You know, it can't be me. Why me? All those kind of things.
2 years after I finished the chemo, my cancer returned in my bones. So now it's been almost 3 years since the recurrence. I have gone through 3 or 4 rounds of different chemos, and I've underwent 2 stem cell transplants. And as of October of '99, I am in remission.
I had a lumpectomy and my lymph node dissection, which was clean. And then I had radiation and chemotherapy, both. And I was actually a survivor for 5.5 years. And then it recurred 2.5 years ago. Why me? They told me I had the best case scenario. Why did I get it again? And I found that those are really questions that aren't answerable necessarily. There's no rhyme or reason.
Think of 2 tracks, if not full holistic integration. Think of at least 2 tracks. And one is, as we said before, this idea of attacking the illness.
Greg Anderson is a survivor of lung cancer. In 1984, he was told he had just 30 days to live. In his search for healing, he interviewed countless patients who also had been told they were supposed to die, but were alive many years after the fact. His findings showed that long-term cancer survivors combine their medical treatment with specific lifestyle choices that can make all the difference.
We have chronicled this in over 15,000 patients, people who have survived quote-unquote terminal illnesses. We've put the pyramid in place to simply help people understand there are the physical dimensions that include conventional medical care, diet, exercise, the mental dimensions of positive beliefs, positive attitudes, typically is what you find survivors employing. Social, the idea of a loved one or even a support group, somebody to share everything. And that's a rare thing in this world, a person with whom one can share everything. And then the emotional component of well-being, very closely tied to mental and social. And essentially people who are able to begin to recognize their emotions and then choose positive ones. Then this idea of vocational well-being, not about job, but it's about this sense of mission and purpose. And you'll find that survivor after survivor has this new call in their life to do and be something more. Then we anchor it all in this spiritual dimension, not religion, not creed or doctrine, but this idea of a living, breathing connection that people talk about. It's this holistic approach. I want everybody to understand and be aware of the implications of that.
Mr. Anderson is quick to point out that while most of the people he's studied use multiple approaches for treating their disease, the overwhelming majority of cancer survivors undergo conventional medical treatments.
96+% of people in our studies who have survived cancer started and completed at least one course of traditional therapy. And clearly what we talk about is complementary, not alternative to conventional therapies. One of the main shifts you see in a holistic approach is this one of diet and nutrition. And there's just no question that breast cancer survivors tend to adopt a more vegetarian, a plant-based diet. I didn't say strict vegetarian, but the preponderance of evidence really must be made widely known, because in America we don't talk about what that can do. But in fact, the idea of 10 servings, 10 one-cup servings daily of fresh fruits and vegetables is a very common shift that breast cancer patients make.
Diana Dyer is a registered dietitian who's made specific changes to her diet and lifestyle since her cancer journey began.
I was first diagnosed with breast cancer at age 34. A shock. Unbelievable. You know, this just can't be happening to me. I was so young, I had a young family, and wow, where do you even start? Well, I went through all conventional therapies and recovered just fine. Right after my 10-year anniversary mammogram, I then had a second diagnosis of breast cancer on the opposite breast, and whoa, this was a huge shock. If I thought the first one was a shock, this one was even more so. I did go through all conventional therapies with my second breast cancer, but with the second breast cancer, I also instinctively knew that I felt like I had to do something else. I had to do more, and I really then approached it from a totally different perspective of layering in various sorts of strategies that were going to help my body heal. And because I am a member of the healthcare profession, I am a registered dietitian, I really took it upon myself almost as a personal mission to decide and figure out for myself, okay, what can I do to help myself? With my book, A Dietitian's Cancer Story, I simply have summarized everything that I've chosen to do with my diet. That means lots of fruits and vegetables. I'm putting my money on vegetables. Lots of food that are high in fiber, whole grains, some soy products. Not a lot, but some. And various aspects of this, whether I'm incorporating fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, nuts, seeds. The word here really is plants and phytochemicals. Food that basically has components in it that can help thwart or interrupt this cancer process in our body.
Apart from the things women with breast cancer can do on their own, survivors say it is critical to reach out to loved ones for support.
I get a lot of support from my family. I have 2 grown children, my stepfather, all of my friends.
I was very lucky. My biggest and best supporter, and I may cry here because I love him terribly, is my husband. He was an anchor for me. And I know not everyone has that, so I always knew I was very, very lucky to have him in my life because he truly was a partner in sharing the cancer journey with me.
My relationships have changed with my husband, with my children. I take nothing for granted. My relationships with my friends. This is my friend Sue.
Hey Sue, we're glad you're here tonight. What have you seen changed?
Oh.
Go ahead.
There's been so many things that have changed, and you know, I would like to say that, you know, through the years that you know, that I've been there so much for Inez, and what she has given to me during this whole thing has been, she has taught me what a gift life is. She has taught me how important our relationships are. She has taught me that every day is a gift from God. And you know, and one of the wonderful things is I get to pass that on to people that don't even know Inez. And you know, I don't even think she knows that there's a lot of us that love her very, very much.
Sharing with other breast cancer survivors also makes a huge difference for many women.
Probably one of the most helpful things was going to a support group and learning from other women that had already been through it.
When it comes to these kinds of situations, you truly are your own best advocate, and it's really important when you are in a medical crisis like this that you do take charge and get as much information as you can and do your homework, and once you go there, it's very self-empowering and it allows you to heal on a lot of other levels at the same time. It's the first step.
Well, I am now 5 years past my last diagnosis, and so, of course, my oncologist and I hope that there's a cure, you know, on board here. But even if there wasn't, I can truly say all of these various complementary strategies, whether it's imagery, whether it's nutrition, whether it's Tai Chi or yoga, it doesn't matter. I think I've done them all. They have enabled my body to heal. And maybe it's more than that. They've enabled my soul to heal. And retrospectively, this is playing the role of Monday morning quarterback. If I had to choose, if I were forced to choose between cure and healing, healing feels so good that I would choose healing.
I see it as a process on a daily basis. What can I do? You know, do my exercise today, my meditation today, choices that I make on what I eat. Healing is the process of being well.
I couldn't believe it at first. I had told my husband I'd meet him in 15 minutes, and I didn't show up, and finally, he came looking for me an hour and a half later, and the doctor had found a little tiny lump.
When you're first given the diagnosis, everything seems to be all in a jumbled up mix-up, and you have a sense of no longer being able to trust certain things that you used to be able to trust your body, and now it's betrayed you in a sense.
Okay, very good. No,
Breast cancer is always a scary thing for women to consider or face, but there are several points that women should be aware of. In the year 2000, we are talking a lot more about prevention. Prevention before there's a breast cancer even diagnosed, trying to identify women who may be at more than the usual risk and doing something about that. For women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, we have a number of newer treatment options that make our ability to talk to them about their longevity much more enthusiastic. Things such as lesser surgery, different ways of giving radiation, and different types of systemic therapies. That's chemotherapy and hormonal therapy, but things that mean that women, when they're diagnosed with breast cancer, it's not a death sentence. And we should be always very clear that we can be helpful. There are a number of things that women can do to be taking charge and monitoring themselves. Every woman should be doing monthly breast checks. I know they say, well, why should I do that? Can't I just have you do that, have somebody check it for me? I'm really afraid of trying to examine my own breasts. I might not find something. But if you are doing it on a regular basis, and when we say regular, we're talking about once a month, you become quite familiar with what is normal for you. Every woman is going to be different. And it's so valuable for a woman to know what is my normal checkup like, so that if there's a change, I can be the first one to pick it up. The other is getting regular mammograms. We can't overstate the importance of getting mammograms and the importance of having them regularly every year. It's the series of mammograms that are important. If you are just getting one, that's not enough. It's having a series to compare with.
Women who do receive a diagnosis of breast cancer often find that their search for healing has profound spiritual consequences. Greg Anderson of the Cancer Recovery Foundation of America notes the importance of spirituality in a healing model he's called the Cancer Survival Pyramid.
The base of this pyramid is spiritual well-being. This isn't about doctrine. It isn't about creed. It's about moving beyond social implications of religion, even the psychological and emotional implications of spirituality. It is about transcendence that you hear time and time again. Survivors view themselves, if you will, as kind of appointed by God to use their life to help change the world.
When I had the cancer diagnosis, it was almost like I had this little voice in my head, and I call it the Jiminy Cricket voice, and it kind of talks to me sometimes. And what it said to me is, cancer doesn't have to kill you. It really is going to give you an opportunity to do some other things. And when you think about it, what you really are here to do is to spread a lot of love around. And if you take that as your challenge, you're going to be okay.
The cancer really changed my life. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was a great gift of God. And I've had a wonderful life. I'm a different person. I don't worry about the little things anymore. And I do a lot more for other people.
I worked for an oncology doctor for 9 years. And I, in fact, still go there for my treatment. Try to talk to patients and show them that you still can get up and do your everyday life even though you're fighting cancer.
Part of this cancer journey for me has been a faith journey. I would say that I was probably a religious person before my second diagnosis. After my second diagnosis, I think I finally understood what spirituality is.
My hope comes from God working through other people that I come in daily contact with. And, you know, if I don't necessarily wake up, you know, feeling really hopeful and really good that day, undoubtedly I will come across one of the people that God has put in my life that will give me that hope, that will offer their love and their support, and that gives me so much strength and hope. I've always had faith, but I would say that faith was not practiced the way it's practiced today on a daily basis. I know that as a result of my faith, I am alive and well today. No doubt about it.
I would say that I had faith in God, but I didn't practice a whole lot. I practice a lot more now. And I just have to trust that He's doing what is planned for me, you know, even if it's fighting.
For a woman who's just been diagnosed with breast cancer, I stand before you as someone who has survived it twice. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and I commend you for taking that first step to actually see what you can do to help yourself and to get on that path. You have lots of help, lots of support. You're part of a huge club. I'm sorry you had to join it, but you don't be afraid to ask for help because we are all here to help each other.
Well, hopefully, if you get treatment early, you can be cured, and that's a fact. If unfortunately in my case, for instance, you get relapsed, that there's still a lot of hope because there's new drugs all the time coming out. And you have to keep the faith that, you know, with every treatment that you're getting, even if it's not quite working, there's new stuff coming out all the time, that hopefully one of them will be the one that'll help you.
You look at that survival pyramid, and one of the most powerful ways I know how to articulate the implications is a simple sentence. And it is this: create a state of body, mind, and spirit where you are well, and then live from that state. That's a powerful prescription.
My goal has been to improve each one of those areas, and they all work together, and they work better than when I wasn't working on them individually. And, you know, I'm feeling the effects, the positive effects of that in the well-being that I feel.
Medicine has made great strides in the treatment of breast cancer, but breast cancer survivors see their disease as more than a physical battle. Not content with just curing their disease, they employ all the emotional, social, and spiritual resources available to find wholeness and healing.